Hello and good morning. I was sitting here 30 seconds ago, like, what do I talk about? And I figured I would start with what is top of mind, and then what came to mind was, yes, yesterday. Where do I start with this context? Okay, I've been working on becoming more efficient in the past week and a half, improving my workspace and reducing technical debt. It's a term used in software engineering, like the small things that you just like kind of put off doing those things. And I'm reaching the end of my board of tasks, and which is good. And yesterday, I worked in the afternoon, and I got to these two tasks, and I think it was a good representation or a good learning lesson. The two tasks that I had set out to do when I started this was adding a search bar to my blog posts page and photo posts page, because there have been instances in the past when I want to search. I'm looking for like a post and it was in Denver or something like that, or I don't know where it was, and I want to search for it. And so that little bit of friction created the idea to put a search bar there. And so I started on that work yesterday, and the WordPress theme that I'm using, when I added a search bar in the page in the editor in the page in the editor, and when I published it, the styling was different, and it was so frustrating. Like, why is it different, you know? And I spent a good amount of time trying to figure out why it's different and how to fix it and why it looks so bad. And I eventually reached the end of my time in the afternoon, and I hadn't fixed it. And I decided to just throw in the towel and not do either of the tasks. So like I put in 30 minutes and I figured out, and I wrote down, this is what I would have to do, which is I need to figure out first why this is happening, and then fix it so the styling it looks good, and then I would have to fix the search page because that looks kind of crappy right now. And so I'm like looking at the amount of work that I would need to do, and what would you say, how valuable this tool or this task is, and I'm like, it's so low priority. And there's a part of me that wants, I think it's the like perfectionism part of me wants to do everything on the board, do all of the tasks and make sure they are all complete. But the other part, I think the rational part of my brain, let me make sure my timer is going. I think the rational part of my brain has understood throughout this process that it is better to do 80% of the tasks on the board and then just don't do the last 20%. And I think I'm reaching that point. And so last night, while I was eating dinner, I was like, I think I'm done. Because I questioned, I questioned before, like, at what point do I stop this? Do I make it based on like a time limit of only 1 week? Or do I go until the task board is empty? Or like, at what point, and I've mentioned this before, I don't remember what video, but something I've been trying to balance is how much is enough and how much is too much, because you can endlessly optimize your workspace, but like you have to actually like use it, So I think I'm there, and so that's the objective for today. I think let me backtrack to clarify or to summarize. I think the lesson in there for me is like, I was gonna say learning to let go, but I think I rephrased it just before I said that. I think it's getting in another repetition of learning to let go. And that actually sparked an interesting thought. Something I've heard Alex Hormozy talk about in terms of like character traits and changing your behavior and learning. And I'm trying to remember the example he used, but it was something like, I think he used the example of, he was with his wife and he was describing how, or he was stating how he didn't think he was very patient. But his wife said, like, I think you are very patient. And I think the idea was that I don't remember the idea. The idea that I want to remember is that, like, it's about giving yourself evidence that you are patient. So if in 10 situations, or if in 9 situations out of 10, you displayed the traits of patience, then now you have 9 pieces of evidence that you can point to say, no, I am patient because of those 9 instances. And I've actually liked that. I think I've integrated that idea a lot in the past 3 years. One of the ideas I wrote about early on was like building your foundation. And I guess this is not directly related, but I like to document pieces of evidence so that I can look back and see, like, no, I am this way because of, like, here's the proof, basically. So, rewinding back to my summary, which was rewinding back, giving me another repetition for learning to let go and learning to accept that I'm not going to get everything done. I like that direction. I like that character trait, and I like that learning. And so, I think it's hard to say, or it would be hard to claim that I could change my behavior based on one instance if it has been a tendency in the past. And so I think there's a part of this that is accepting that it's going to take more than one time to change my behavior. And so if I've been a perfectionist in the past, in a perfect world, I could, switch the thing, switch a switch in my brain and I am no longer a perfectionist. But I think in reality, as a human, there's a buffer zone that is doing repetitions that show you are not a perfectionist until you have enough evidence to show that you are not a perfectionist because you have this stack of proof. I think that's a pretty good stopping point. I wasn't expecting to get into change in character traits today, but you know, it is what it is. I'll see you tomorrow.